Good evening, sir.
Good evening. How you doing?
How you doing, sir? Apologies, it looked like I've been in a wrestling match. I've just got really bad hay fever.
Oh, sorry. So sorry for that. Sorry.
It's
I'm happy to see you.
yeah, same, same. It's a pleasure to meet you. Hey, Bobby. How you doing, Dr. Bernard?
This is my third panel today.
Can you
I'm
imagine?
still standing.
Enjoy yourself. How you doing?
Ah, my spirit is leaving my body gradually. I am tired. I don't know
Sorry.
who did me like this. I think LSA does not like me. 3 panels in one day. I'm leaving one panel, I'm with another panel.
Hope it's nothing.
And we are sweating. Like Ilaya and Brown.
Yeah.
What do you know? I
What
think
do you tell me?
I know it. I think my thing.
Ìdí àgbọn
Your
ni.
face is shining. You are
You use
not
ìdí àgbọn.
you are not feeling Tinubu at all.
Oh man, doesn't it look like I've been in a wrestling match, a boxing match with him? My eyes, I've got bad hay fever.
Come to Lagos. I'm gonna say it again. I mean, we have been to have like 4 minutes more. How is
Yes.
Anu?
He's very well. He's in the other room. He's a lot at the moment, but he's good. How's
Well,
Lagos treating you?
not fun. Not fun. The traffic, I could lose my mind.
Wow.
But I have 2 days to find out.
Wow.
So you start as we discussed while I'm resting, and then I'll come in 2 minutes later, 2 minutes to the end. How many minutes do we have, Gary?
You have 15 minutes. Oh, 5 minutes. 12
I
minutes
think
to
we
talk.
need that for now. I will do 2 minutes. No, Papa.
12.
I think we'll do 30 minutes. I will do 2 minutes.
Okay.
That's the plan.
That's not true, sir.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. Are you panelist? You panelist, yes. Okay. Okay. Are you a panelist?
Are you presenting? Yes, you are presenting. No, it's my panelist. It's a panelist. Presenting.
Those are the experience we use.
So I just want to yes.
Yeah, we're waiting for you.
It's nice.
This life is not sustainable because every week, 1 to 5 days. I say it's 1 to 5 days. Maybe I see it.
Lagos is a position. So it's Lagos is
It's not about the things. That's the goal is 1.5 million.
And the maximum is 16. I think 16.
Yes. Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. It's a privilege to be. Hello. You are starting, please. It's a privilege to be here with us, and the second panel, ecomusicology, we have three. We have three panels of these ecomusicology narratives, and we are the second one now. And I'm happy to inform us that most of our panelists are on ground already, and we are starting immediately. I'm going to introduce, it's going to be 5 minutes presentation, and then after that, we are going to have all the presentations made. Then after that, we have the questions after the presentation. I'm going to invite Dr. Hakeem Adagbada. I hope I'm right. I'm sorry if I've not pronounced it right.
By the way, it's not doctor, sir.
Don't worry, we are promoted. Okay. Dr. Oluwabumi Bernard. Let me just read the presentation briefly. Hakeem Adagbada is a lawyer and PhD student at the Faculty of Divinity, University of Cambridge. PhD is provisionally titled towards the African tradition and Christian theology study of
maybe also tell him
He's from his own nest.
to interrogate the concept of context theology by using yes.
Your mic, you have to increase your mic.
Okay.
We can't hear you.
Okay, I'm sure you can hear me now.
It's better, but you have to start shouting. Use your performance voice.
Okay, thank you. So I present to you Dr. Hakeem Adagbada as a lawyer and PhD student at Cambridge University, and with Dr. Bernard Oluwabumi Bernard, a seasoned global scholar. Currently, just completed Netherlands fellowship at Netherlands Institute for Advanced Studies, and is going for another. Is moving from one fellowship to another fellowship. He's a global scholar, international scholar, fellowship guru, and they are going to present to us environmental perspectives on environmental rights and the Yoruba sacred orature in this presentation. We have 12 minutes. Thank you.
No, I hope you can all hear me.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes, you can.
Thank you. I would like to firstly thank the LSA and Professor Titus for giving us the privilege to be able to present our joint paper with Dr. Oluwabumi Bernard. So I'll start halfway through, and then I will pass on to my esteemed colleague. So modernity has been marked by an excessive anthropocentrism, which today, under another guise, continues to stand in the way of shared understanding and an effort to strengthen social bonds. This particular quote comes from a paper given by Pope Francis in 2015 called On Care for Our Common Home. Pope Francis calls the church and the world to the urgent environmental crisis facing our collective existence and challenges us to join in envisioning a new path forward. Pope Francis drew attention to, amongst other things, one of the fundamental problems that drives the ecological crisis today, modernity and its misguided and excessive anthropocentrism. In what was deemed as a historical moment, the United Nations General Assembly in July 2022 passed a resolution recognizing a clean, healthy, and sustainable environment as a human right. Granting the environment the privileged status of a human right was seen as a decisive step in addressing the climate change crisis. Though this reform seems to provide some legal protection, at least at the international level, it nevertheless privileged the anthropo. By bringing the environment into the human rights vernacularization, this legal instrument inadvertently reinscribes the crisis of modernity as captured by Pope Francis. Does the environment need the language of a human rights to be deemed valuable and thus protectable? Could not the valueness of the environment be accepted as a given without reinscribing anthropocentrism? Our thesis argues that the language of human rights as a legal protective mechanism undermines the very agenda of the United Nations resolution. It fundamentally fails to grasp how anthropocentrism remains the theoretical bedrock of the human rights discourse. Our papers suggest the possibility of reframing the language of the environment to address this theoretical challenge. We therefore interrogate the resources within the Yoruba indigenous knowledge system that informs their idea of upholding environmental integrity for the sake of the environment. We therefore hope to prove with evidence from selected Yoruba sacred orature that the deep ritual connection to the Yoruba, to the environment, allows them to treat it with respect, both as a non-human and more than human, and thus has its own right in their own worldview. So my central contention in this part of the paper argues that the human rights vernacularization of the environment reinscribes the nature-culture binary opposition between the anthropo and the environment. Derrida, the French philosopher, questioned such oppositional binaries. He asserted that binary oppositions are a fundamental assumption underlying Western philosophical tradition. Derrida argued that Western philosophy holds to a metaphysics of presence, which constructs reality and existence in terms of binary oppositions, and a hierarchy of values is implicit in this logic. Within this context, humans are constantly centered and privileged over and against the environment within the human rights discourse. Switzer's work, Resisting Ideological English, here she explores how within the philosophy of language, language is never neutral. Language is ideological. She explores the ideological implication of translating Frantz Fanon's great work, which we would mostly know as The Wretched of the Earth. Traditionally, Fanon's work had been translated as The Wretched of the Earth, whilst Lewis Golden translated the work as The Damned of the Earth. Switzer notes that Golden's translation of Les Damenos as the damned instead of the wretched makes a critical intervention. More importantly, it serves as a form of resisting colonial ideology embedded within language. She notes that using the wretched erases being, agency, and value of living beings, while the damned preserves in the meaning of the words the reality or fact of active colonial damning as a historical process driven by culpable agents, and does so in naming the action is done upon them. Switzer notes that English as a noun-based language fundamentally fails within its conceptual value system. She states, and I quote, "Modern English is a subject-verb-object language, or a verb-medial language where the verb must come in the middle between the subject and the object. There is no essential relationality, no subject-object relationality built into the grammar of modern English. There is no marking system where the subject of a verb without an object is marked, no structure to show the relationality of the subject and the object, nothing showing agreement between the words in a phrase to indicate who is doing what to whom. Thus, as an analytical language, rather than as an inflected language, the subject-verb-object-word order in English is what is telling who is doing what to whom. This linguistic feature of modern English seems to support Chimera's suggestion that there is something about the preponderance of nouns in the particular context of English language that is related to a cultural obsession with property accumulation over respect for the dignity of human and other life. Switzer rightly discerns how the relative lack of verbs in English language perhaps lends itself to a property-owning subject distance from the object. She moves in the right direction in her philosophical treatise on language. Switzer captures the crucial difference in naming. For example, there is a difference between naming a river as a noun instead of a verb. Naming a river as a noun makes abstract river. Therefore, we contend that the act of naming the environment as a human right reinscribes a bias in favor of the anthropo, or the valueness of being human, or the valueless of being the environment. Thus perpetuates the colonial capitalist valuing, where land and environment are seen as a gift to be resourced and enjoyed by human beings. Let me sum it up. In essence, the environment only becomes valuable at the point of human existence, but not valuable for valueness' sake. Thus, how do we envision and speak of the environment where agency and valueness are a given? Switzer suggests that embracing nicknaming, which differs from names that separates. She further states that nicknames are inherently relational, in loving relationship and community, that they affirm and recreate a relationality based in memory and shared experience. The act of nicknaming in relation to understanding the other's character and person. Though Switzer moves in the right direction, she does not provide a way of conceiving our creatureliness and connectivity with the environment. To this, we turn to the resource within the Yoruba indigenous knowledge system, and I'll hand over to my capable colleague. I think you have to unmute the LSA conference.
Well, thank you very much, Hakeem. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay,
Loud
thank
and
you
clear.
very much. So I'll continue from where Hakeem stopped off and left off. And I titled this session, Yoruba Indigenous Knowledge System and Environmental Rights. ESRS apá kan, má ṣe tẹ kòkòrò ni, kòkòrò tí ìwọ kò náání ni, ẹlẹ́dàá ló lè dá. Má ṣe dági lóró, má ṣe gbọn yẹ̀pẹ̀ sódò, gbogbo wọn ló níṣẹ́ tiwọn. Turn your leg to the other way, or turn your feet from matching it. Do not match or kill that insect. This insect that you do not regard, only God can create it, only Eleda can create it. Do not harm or cut trees. Do not put sand into rivers and streams. They all have their function or purposes. I came across this SFR, Ifa divination poem during my school days. We would recite it often during morning assemblies before classes as a reminder that our lives were not worth more than the lives of the other elements, non-humans around us. That even the tiniest insects are no lesser than us in this ecological space that we currently occupy. They have life, being, purpose, rights, just as humans. And we'll get to that momentarily. But how can I, and I know Akim also eats meat, an avid meat eater and frequent flyer who keeps enjoying an air-conditioned room during summer and a well-heated room during winter, talk about environmental rights, which means that most of the things that gives us comfort and sustenance as humans may be doing the exact opposite of what we are proposing to work on here. Therefore, the goal of this study, one of the goals of this study, is not to remove the human factor from the discussion about environmental rights, because as long as we are here, our existence will continue to take from Earth resources, but also we can protect its rights. And even the notion of environmental rights itself was made possible by humans. So humans play important roles in protecting environmental rights. Therefore, the focus of this project is one, to prove through evidence from the Yoruba culture and traditions that environmental rights is acknowledging that humans can benefit from environments in ways that allows the environment to replenish itself. Two, that to show through examples from Yoruba worldview and philosophy that the idea of protecting the environment for the sake of the environment is built into the very fabric of every Yoruba society and not a concept that began in the mid-19th century as claimed by scholars of environmental rights. Evidence from this claim may also be found in Yoruba literature such as myth, legends, origin stories, folktales, praise poems, taboos, and sacred orature. This belief that environment has life and being may also be traced to the Yoruba myth of creation itself. When citing Reverend O. Ipega, Akinshola Akiwowo in his seminar paper, alluded that all creatures, human and non-humans alike, on earth are Oduduwa's children. In the order of these children, humans came last. And it was so because they were saddled with the responsibility of taking care of and bringing goodness to other creatures on earth. He says, when, and I'm quoting Ekpegha now, when the children of Oduduwa assembled before him, those he chose to convey goodness to the earth are those we refer to as Eniyan, that is human. The children of Oduduwa included trees, the palm trees, beasts, earthworms, men, and as such like things. These excerpts present humans as not superior to other creatures, but as the same, but out of the same importance in the structure of life, as siblings and children of the same father. It portrays them as residents to underscore their circumspective and temporal obligations as steward of the ecological space. Therefore, it is expected that humans will grant them these other elements, equal rights, as they would give to other humans or even more. So I will start with Yoruba traditional religion, which I prefer, and I always say as Yoruba, I prefer to call it Yoruba Orisha worship, because J.D.Y. Peel and Olufemi Von in their books have argued that even Islam and Christianity have become Yoruba traditional religions because they've adapted several aspects of Yoruba culture and Orisha worship into their religious performance and experience. In the Yoruba cosmology, there are 401 deities. Well, some scholars have claimed that there are over 1,700, but that is an argument for another day. So the first among these numerous deities, no matter their number, is Ifa. He is the deity of wisdom and divination, and he is the most studied of all the Yoruba deities because of his vast repertoire of orature. I have quoted an excerpt from his orature of SFA in this presentation earlier. Ifa orature contains the most reference to non-humans of all the oratures of Yoruba deities and Orisha. SFA contains non-humans, animals, insects, birds, plants, and bodies of waters existing in their own worlds, just as humans do in their own world. That a long time ago, non-human even lived, existed in the same space as humans, and not to serve the needs of humans, but because they have life and being. The experiences and exploits of these non-humans are used by the Babalawo Nifa, during divination sessions as examples to teach their clients valuable lessons to help them overcome a problem. For example, wọ́n dòyì kápá, apá ò kápá, wọ́n dòyì ká òsè, apá ò ká òsè, which means they tried to wrap their arms around the African mahogany. They could not wrap their arms around it. They attempted to wrap their arms around the baobab tree. They were unsuccessful. And Ifa priest may use this essay to assure his clients of success in their endeavors, which means that at this point, he's using Ifa to back the Yoruba belief that non-humans have life, being, and essence, and therefore equal to humans. He is saying that if these above mentioned trees can be successful against adversaries, so can his client. How many minutes more do I have? I can't hear you.
You're on mute, sir.
In the same vein.
I'm eating 3 minutes to our time.
Oh, okay. So I'm just trying to, okay, so in the same vein, there are other myths, Yoruba myths about towns and about many Yoruba towns that talk about the place and the perception of Yoruba about other elements elements in nature that are not human, and how they treat them, and how they position in the circle of life, as it were, in the Yoruba worldview. So what we are trying to say here, we are not trying to preach the removal of humans from this because the only way to stop environmental degradation or to give environmental right completely to the environment would be to remove humans from it, like most sci-fi movies. If you have seen is it Thor, Avengers, when that guy snapped his finger and everybody poof, half of us were gone. That is their claim, and this has been termed, this has given birth to terms like eco-terrorism, where people want to cause more, want to kill people or remove a certain part of the human population from the environment to give the environment more, sustainability. This is not what we are asking for. We are also saying that humans are part of the environment, and humans can be agency to giving this right, this much sought after right to the environment, and that there are evidences of this kind of move in the Yoruba culture, apart from what is being preached to us from the West. So thank you. I'm just going to round up. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the presentation. A round of applause for our presenters, please. I'm going to invite, thank you very much. This is really fascinating. I'm going to invite the second presenter. Like I said, we listen to all presentation and then we take the question and answer. I'm going to call Mr. Nathaniel Damilola Akintunde and Moses Ife Adedoyi, both from Obafemi Awolowo University. They are going to present their paper on ecotheology, ecomusicology, and the gospel tones for environmental sustainability. They are seasoned teachers and great scholars. Thank you. You have the floor.
Sorry. Accolades of honor.
12 minutes, just 12 minutes, please.
12 minutes, all right, sir. Accolades of honors to the chair for this section, Professor Titus Oluwasegun, and distinguished scholars and researchers present here. I am Moses Ife Adedoyi, a cohort with Nathaniel Oluwadamilola. The presentation, like Professor have introduced, of this research is titled Ecotheology, Ecomusicology, and the Gospel Tunes for Environmental Sustainability. Here is the research lead-in. I meant the introduction. While considering this research, certain questions emerged. And here are the two questions. Why considering an interdisciplinary approach to this study? And the second is, of what relevance is the gospel tunes to ecomusicology and ecotheology? The answers to these questions are not far-fetched. An interdisciplinary approach is needed in a study such as this because the concept itself, gospel tunes, is both theological and at the same time musicological. The concept gospel has its origin from the Greek word euangelion, and of which there is derived from the verb euangelizomenoi, which means to evangelize. So looking at gospel tunes and the musicological aspect of it, then we can see that gospel tunes is a form of music. As regards this, then ecomusicology and ecotheology interconnection is therefore relevant in the sense of which we are trying to present the secret which is presented in gospel music and of which pictured as well, that's which we can see all around us, the nature, the natural bodies, such as water, summer, winter, and the likes. The music or the sacredness that is found in the way in which musicians present their songs by incorporating the natural bodies, therefore brings about the desire to dive into a multidisciplinary approach while considering gospel music, the gospel tunes. The lacuna for the research, the gap which we have to fill. While looking at this research, several studies have been carried out, and of which little or no discussion or focus is given to such an interdisciplinary approach. The ecotheology and ecomusicological approach to gospel tunes. And here are the objectives for this research. The specific objectives for this research includes examine the relationship of theology and music in environmental sustainability. And the second, to discuss the limitations and complexities inherent in applying theological concepts to contemporary environmental issues. And the last, to assess the ecotheological, ecomusicological impact to Take Me Down to the Water and Wonderful Wonder. These are two different songs which were composed by two different musicians. I will dwell much on the two later, but let's consider the methodology which was used for this research. This study adopted a contextual approach informed by both ecomusicology and ecomusicological and ecotheological reflections. The study employed both primary and secondary source of data, and the primary source comprises the gospel lyrics. The gospel lyrics were semantically analyzed, and these lyrics includes Take Me Down to the Water, a song composed by Philip E., and Wonderful Wonder, composed by Nathaniel Bassey. Additionally, a structured interview was conducted with just 5 willing gospel music fans, and the secondary source of data are the books, journal articles, and the likes. The data collected were analyzed contextually. Now here is the summary of, or an overview of the entire study. Starting with Philip Hughes. On Philip Hughes' Facebook, and of which it is obvious that this musician is not that popular, but the kind of music that he composes or writes is related to what the study is all about, and that's the reason why this song is selected, and the environment which happens to be the setting for his songs most times are also relevant to ecology. So he's introduced as multilingual gospel on his profile, and gospel singers rather, and songwriter and producer, who therefore works across cultures. So he hails from Savannah, Georgia, the United States of America. He debuted his first single, Alive to God, on August 9, 2019, and of which the only songs selected for this study because of certain limitations, which will not require or allow considering this, conducting this research to look over other research. So the selection of the music is based on the fact that, it's based on the fact that Take Me Down to the Water is a song that theological concepts can be derived from its lyrics. And the lyrics itself has link to ecology. I don't know how possible it will be. I would like to play just a track for you to hear what the song is all about.
Yes,
because I know the audience here may not.
We can hear from the speaker that's beside you. So you have 4 minutes more.
Oh. Just Take Me Down to the Water, sung by Philip Hughes. Hope you can hear from there, sir.
No, can you take it closer to the laptop?
Probably because of time, let me just go through. Take Me Down to the Water intertwines spiritual and ecological themes, promoting a holistic approach to faith and environmental responsibility. And looking at the title of the song itself, Take Me Down to the Water, seems to be compelling. And of which, if someone therefore tells the other, take me down to the water, certain questions may be asked. Why do I need to go to the water? But from his own context, it can be seen that this man is trying to present baptism in his song, and of which baptism has to be a concept in New Testament studies, and that is a word which in Greek is known as baptizo, I baptized. And this therefore brings to mind the sacredness of water. If therefore water presents purification from the baptism context, then it can be concluded that natural bodies such as water can therefore be given referential preferences. And this is the reason why I said the song is therefore related to environmental practices. Now, as for Nathaniel Bassey songs, Wonderful Wonders. His songs, Wonderful Wonders, lyrics include certain features which include natural bodies such as winter, summer, sun, moon, and stars. And all these are things talking about the creator is known as the supreme being. And that shows when you are talking about the creator, the supreme being, there's no way we are not going to relate these to still worship as well. Because ecotheology itself comes from the Genesis context of God commanding man to keep the garden. And that is what some scholars who brought about these ideas about ecotheology tagged as the green theology. So Wonderful Wonders effectively uses the beauty of nature to highlight God's creative power, immanence, and majesty. The song's ecological themes encourage believers to see the environment as a secret reflections of God's presence and to adopt a mindset of still worship and reference for all creation. Now, in a nutshell, the findings of this research goes thus. Gospel tunes with their deep roots in spiritual and community traditions can play a significant role in promoting environmental sustainability. In addition, gospel music ability to unite people and convince powerful messages makes it an effective tool for raising awareness, all right, sir, and encouraging collective action towards sustainability. In conclusion, Richard Wagner uttered a statement, where words fail, music begins. The implication of this is that what words is incapable of communicating or presenting to audience, music can go far in doing. And that is the reason why I would say music is very close to we humans. And with that, music is one of the good channels or means by which we can promote environmental sustainability. Even though most musicians do not have this intention while composing their song. And therefore, I recommend that in schools all around, musicians have to also be made aware of this practice. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this presentation. Yeah, so we go to the next presenter now, Mr. Gbenga Falana. Mr. Gbenga Falana is currently a postgraduate student at in the US. Because of our time, I will not be able to read all our biographies again because it's into it. So he's going to present his paper titled there's a little adjustment to the title. Just a minute, please. To adjust the title, and yeah, it's looking at reflections, examining reflections of Yoruba cultural ecology and ethology in Ebenezer Obey's music. So because he's currently engaged, I'm going to play his or share his presentation here. Sorry, just to save our time, let me move to the next person. Why I prepared that. As soon as possible. I will now call on the next presenter. Why I said because of to save our time, I call the next presenter, Dr. Ogli Godwin is the lecturer, Department of Music. And the current HOD is actually Associate Professor. Is he on ground? I'm not sure. At Federal University, Lokoja. Dr. Ogli, are you here? I'm not sure he's here yet. Oh, so sorry. I guess he said he's had, I think, issues with internet. So I'll call on the next presenter, which is Mr. Gbemileke. Yeah, Mr. Gbemileke is a graduate of Obafemi Awolowo University, and his presentation is on Earth Beats, Afropop's global pulse in ecomusicology for environmental justice. So, Mr. Gbemileke, you have the floor. Gbemileke Oluseun, you have the floor, sir.
All right, thank you, sir. I hope you can hear me.
Yes.
Okay. All right, I will just go right into it. My topic is Earthbeats, Afropop's global pulse in ecomusicology for environmental justice. However, I wish I could play some music, but because we have a very limited time, we could have seen a documentary, different happenings that perhaps skyrocket the decisions for Afropop musicians to venture into the heart of compositions relating to the environment. I will start that the intersection of music, environmentalism, and social responsibilities has become a positive force for change amidst urgent ecological concerns. Against this backdrop of urgent ecological concerns, there is a growing recognition of the potential for music to inspire positive change and activism. Nigerian popular music has been widely studied, but recently there has been growing academic interest in Nigerian Afropop's role in global conversations, especially regarding environmental issues. Scholars are exploring how Afropop artists contribute to environmental justice and advocacy. So therefore, this study focuses on how prominent Afro artists like Olamide, Burna Boy, Ombu Smith, and Kizz Daniels addresses issues like migration, health hazards, unemployment, substandard housing, and climate change. Their music acts as a catalyst for raising awareness and promoting sustainability. So while enumerating on the contributions of this Nigerian Afropop, this paper also plans to uncover the transformative impact of their songs, how their songs has contributed to the environment, how they has contributed to the growth and the movement towards environmental sustainability. Despite the growing recognitions of Afropop influence, there remains a lack of comprehensive research on how these artists actually use their music to address these environmental challenges. So this study aims to fill the gap in existing literature by examining how each of these prominent artists' songs contribute to shaping public attitudes and driving meaningful dialogue on ecological issues. Additionally, by examining their discographies and lyrical context, the study analyzes how these artists have addressed this issue through either the song, the audio, and also the video, and also in other art forms such as documentaries. To unveil these artists, I would list their name. Olamide, I'll just list the alias which we know them as Olamide, Ombu Smith, Burna Boy, and Kizz Daniel. These artists are not just musical icons, they are also champions of environmental justice. Their songs were carefully chosen based on their popularities, including streams, social media presence, and hit status. These songs directly addresses key issues relating to this study. The message and details encoded in their music highlight professional journalism by uncovering hidden details about environmental issues affecting people. Hence, I coined them to be Afro-Jonah. That means that they are Afro-pop musicians providing entertainment, and in other side, still doing a comprehensive work of journalism by diving deep into matters pertaining to the environment and deep matters, even which some media houses would not also want to unveil. So I termed them to be Afro-Jonah. I'll start with Burna Boy. Burna Boy, born Demini Ebonlua Ogulu, sorry if I don't pronounce well, is a Nigerian Afro singer and songwriter known for his impactful music addressing social and environmental issues. He has gained international acclaim for his unique sound and powerful advocacy through his sound. His music, Whiskey, focuses, highlights the environmental issues facing the people of Port Harcourt. I already plan to play the music and some of the videos, but I'll just summarize it. It talks about the pollutions, the injustice going on in Port Harcourt, how they are suffering pollution, how everywhere is filled with they call it dust. The cars, the roads, you wake up in the morning, you put your hands because of the oil exploration ongoing there. So let's continue. Said Whiskey not only highlights environmental, but also underscores political negligence. The governments are aware of this and they have decided not to say some things because of some certain benefit going to the government, whereas this popular artist Burna Boy has uncovered this in the song and also in the documentary. The lyrics, because of oil and gas, my city so dark, pollution make the hair turn black, points to the government's failures to regulate the oil industries, leading to severe pollution in Port Harcourt. However, the song also uncovers injustice on the masses. The song captures the social injustice faced by the masses as depicted by the lines, people dey, where they sleep for their mouths, they no get work. This reflects the economic disparity and the struggle for basic survival amid environmental degradation. So they are plagued with environmental degradations, even though the oil is being explored in their town, but half or a large portion, they are still feeding from hand to mouth. There's no work. And it also brings to life personal stories from people affected by this pollution, such as a mother who lost her son to a pollution-related illness. This serves also, the video also, representation of it serves as some of the agitations of the people which have been silenced over time. I will move to the second person because of time. Olamide Adedeji. Olamide Adedeji's songs, Imototo, emphasizes the importance of maintaining a clean and built environment. The repeated refrain, Imototo lo le segun arun gbogbo, it relates to cleanliness is the only cure for all diseases, highlighting the critical role of environmental hygiene in urban spaces. This mirrors how every state, how every society must follow a particular pattern of environmental hygiene in order to avert some certain diseases and generally to preserve lives and global green economy. It also talks about promoting social responsibility. The song promotes social responsibility, urging individuals and communities to maintain cleanliness. Spread love to your friends and families. I would spread love to my friends and families when I do my part in the movement of environmental sanitation. And that he also made reference to Bubuwa, Hausa, Kibo, Sonny Dezua, which means that it is a collaborative effort. Lastly, he talked about unity unity, ensuring that the built environment is conducive for healthy living. I also rush to Smith, which themes also relates to migration. He
1
said,
minute more, sir.
wow, I was trying to really rush. So there's no place like Lagos, beautiful city. Why is he saying that? In a bit, we all know some of the plagues happening around, which is we call Japa, which we call going for a better option, going for a better survivor. However, a popular artist is trying to tell us that there is no place like what we have. We just have to have the consciousness to build it and to make it a land of opportunities and bring it and all collaboratively work in order to have it as a safe space for every sector to thrive. So he said, I know place like Lagos, beautiful city. Even though Lagos is not as beautiful, it's not all part, but there's a consciousness being tried to imbibe, bringing out the themes of ecological sustainability for us to embrace. And ECO also emphasizes the dual nature, highlighting both the slums and the ghettos and the cycles of poverty and environmental degradation in some parts of Lagos, mirroring it according to how some states have been. However, in total, these musicians have shed light on the challenges of political negligence, ghetto life, social injustice, environmental pollution, while celebrating cultural resilience. Their songs have inspired actions and fostered a collective consciousness towards sustainability. By leveraging through their platforms, they have raised awareness and they are driving social change, they are driving social consciousness, promoting their music to influence policies and to support marginalized communities. Thank you. I would like to stop here. I believe my time.
Thank you so much. A round of applause for Mr. Gbemileke Seun. Thanks for that brilliant presentation. I'm going to call on, I've introduced him before, Dr. Godwin Ogli, the head of Department of Music of Federal University, Lokoja, and I'm happy to say he's also an associate professor. And Professor, very soon we are going to hear good news about the chair. So you have the floor, sir. 12 minutes. We are not hearing you. Unmute yourself. Okay, yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much for this opportunity. Good evening to everyone from, going by Nigerian time. My research is on musical reflections on the environment in North Central Nigeria. But specifically, looking at this from the cultural perspective of the Idoma people who are majorly found in Benue State of Nigeria. Benue State is in the North Central part of Nigeria. And the title of my presentation this evening is From There to Here and to Where. Now, this is a question actually that captures, that seems to capture the way I look at how environment has been captured in music among the Idoma people. What I'm actually looking at this evening is the one of the chants, traditional chants performed among the Idoma people. And this is performed by what we refer to as the Aleku Afia. The Idoma Aleku institution is an all-male traditional institution that privileges the position of ancestors in Idoma society. The Aleku simply means ancestors. Now, there is a traditional institution among the Idomas where you have elders and male elders who form the custodians of the Aleku. And whenever the Aleku manifests in physical form, is known as the Aleku Afia. So the physical manifest of the spirit or the ancestors is the Alekwafia, and is highly esteemed and revered among the Idoma people. There are different occasions when the Aleku manifests. And one of the central reasons for the spirit manifest is to fellowship with his human family members. So the whole idea surrounding the Alekwafia is that the ancestors are alive and they are with the people. So they are not really gone and dead, gone and forever gone. According to Idoma tradition, the ancestors are with them. And so when they manifest in that physical form, it is believed that they actually come to have fellowship with the humans, their human family members. And in such instances, the Aleku speaks in chants. That is a general language, it's in chants. And the chant is more or less what I would describe as a dense language, because in a single line, a lot is compressed into a single line. Sometimes they borrow words from the Igala, which are neighbors to the Idoma. You also find them picking words that you find it difficult to comprehend. In fact, even though I grew up in the village, but when the Aleku Afia begins to chant, as I tell you the truth, I don't understand what he's saying. So you need those who are adept in that language to understand and translate what they are saying to you. So the people who understand are those who have developed their understanding of deep form of Idoma language to understand what the chant is saying. This study actually is an ongoing research, and so a lot of it I have not put together, especially the literature. I'm still working on it and the theoretical framework. However, I want to present the body of my work in this presentation. Several occasions of the manifest, there have been several studies that shows that this is prevalent among the Idoma people. Now, what is the holistic concept of life as it relates to the environment in Idoma culture? I want to look at the environment as is captured in this chant, not all the songs, but I want to look at the chant, some of the presentation, the way the environment is captured and ecology is captured in this chant to give us an idea of how the Idoma people look at the environment and culture generally. And that's why I'm raising this question. What is the holistic concept of life as it relates to the environment in Idoma culture? And what is the place of animals and the environment in Idoma cosmological view? And then the last question here is, what can we learn from the level of transformation in the environment of Idoma land, especially as it affects fauna? Data for this research was gathered through interviews, observation, participant observer in some of the traditional events that featured the Alekwafia and Idoma culture. And the chants usually reflects the beliefs, history, custom, and ecological information about Idoma environment. A lot of it is captured in the chants. And usually the chants are not a short presentation. Sometimes you can have a chant that lasts up to 30 minutes. You can have two Alekwafia chanting in a competitive way. One chant drops, another one continues the chant. Or you can have just a single Afia chanting. In the chant under focus, which I'm going to present now, which it was performed at burial occasions. And in this chant, we are introduced to the fauna in that environment, that is the animal life in that environment. And the chant mentions of few animals and how it is perceived and used or perceived culturally in the environment. The first one here is the horse. The horse is captured in that chant metaphorically as the beast for transportation, but not just for transportation, but as the animal that seemed to stay with man to support man and help man. So in this case, it is not just an animal for humans. In fact, the chant here says, Onyebe Oyijegwa Koyolonya Gabi Geloi Meme Ibene. That means Onyebe, daughter of Ijegwa, should fetch the horse for a babe quickly. In this chant, the horse is captured as the vehicle that transports the mortal to the land of the immortal. Is the only means of transportation from this human life to the non-human life. And so when someone dies, for him to join the ancestors, he has to go on the horse. So the horse is not just a living animal, it's an animal that has a relationship with both the living and the dead. And in that case, the horse is more than just an animal. It's an animal that should be revered and an animal that is highly regarded in Idoma culture. Then the chant also went on to talk about the wolf and hyena mentioned. And these are indicative of their presence in the past. The first one says, Ogulu, Lebenya Debokoloko. The wolf blocked the animal into more or less caged the animal in a way that the animal cannot escape, so the animal becomes a prey. The second one says, Odumu Glopia Boba, that the hyena is an oversize to the he-goat. Actually, in one of the papers I had done before, published in Turkey, I looked at, there's a dance in Idoma land called Odumu. In that paper, I tried to explain why the Odumu dance is featured up to today. It's a reflection of the past and trying to celebrate the past in the present. So the Odumu here is a reflection, or is a pointer to what was obtainable in Idoma culture or in Idoma environment. The next one is a tiger. And the chant here references the tiger's way of life in the following way. It says, Eje Koda Ojo. Now that word, the last word there, Ojo, is actually borrowed from Igala, which is typical of the chant, of the Alekwafia chant. The Eje Koda Ojo means the tiger took its prey at the oasis or at the water spot. And you know that the places of drinking water are usually the places where the big cats used to hide and then catch their prey. I went on to say, Otu Goeje Koda Otu, that the night shields the tiger to take a prey at the oasis. So this portrays that these animals, they were part of that environment as of old. I never grew up to meet them. I didn't meet them in the environment, but they were there. And all these chants are pointers to the past and how these animals have lived their lives there. The data on ecology as portrayed in chants is supported by names of some villages that reflect animal habitat. So it's not only this chant that points us to how animals have lived in this environment. In the Adoka community in Otuko local government, there is a village called Adoka Ogodumu. Adoka Ogodumu is Adoka, the gorilla's hole. So historically, that environment was known for where gorillas used to stay. And then you have Opa Floor, that is the Hyenas River. So there were environments that were identified.
1 minute, sir.
Sir.
1 minute more.
Okay, sir. So these animals points that they were part of Idoma culture. And then we have the totemic status of some animals, all of them showing that animals have been part of this ecology. The implication of this data is that the Idoma believe that different animal species inhabited the environment before now, although many can no longer be found. And also that there are strong relationships between the spiritual rituals and worldview of the Idoma and the animals in their environment. There are some of their rituals that capture these animals, and they can't be done without the animals. These animals have strong attachment to Idoma culture. Finally, the cultural position of animals in Idoma culture, as captured in the chant, indicates that animals possess agencies that are revered and honored in Idoma culture. Finally, this can be used for cultural ecological advocacy among the Idoma for the preservation of the environment and the animal in that locale as in general. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. A round of applause for Prof. Thank you so much, sir. You can unshare. Thank you. Yeah, this is good. I will now play. Hope I can have access to it now. I will play the music of Mr. Benga. Okay, okay, you're around, Mr. Uche, Dr. Uche. Please, after now, you are going to present after this. Okay. But it's not, so I will just, let me just play it. It's not operating.
Oh, sir.
Hello?
Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me,
okay,
sir?
Yeah, here. Okay, good. So you can present.
Okay, let me
Okay,
quickly.
I've been struggling to present, to say share it is difficult. So please go ahead.
Okay, sir. Just.
You have 10 minutes, sir. You can share your.
Okay, sir. I'm sorry, I just had to. Can you see my screen, please?
Not yet. Yes, it's coming up. It's coming up now.
Can you see the screen now?
It's coming up, but maybe you can just start while it's booting. When it's boot, as it's booting. Maybe double click.
I think I can go ahead before the.
Please, yes, go ahead. You can double click it.
Is my screen visible now?
No.
Oh.
It's not opening. But it's trying to open, but it hasn't opened yet. Maybe you can just start presenting and then let's see how it goes.
Yes, let me
Let
go ahead.
Okay. Okay, we can see it now.
Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. My name is Benga Falano Oluwaseun from the University of Alabama. And the title of my presentation is Examining Reflections of Yoruba Cultural Ecology and Ethology in Ebenezer Obey's Music. I want to appreciate LSA for giving me this opportunity again. And Dr. Titus, thank you for the introduction. because of time, I'll go straight into my presentation. My presentation intersects cultural ecology and ecomusicology, so that's why I'm having these two concepts here. Cultural ecology refers to the study of the relationship between a culture or society and its environment. Cultural ecology also considers human activities impact, how human activities impact the environment and how environmental changes in turn affect cultural practices and beliefs. So in this study, it explains how the indigenous Yoruba society engaged with the environment in the past and what it has become today. So this study examines the lyrics of Ebenezer Obey's song, Nitiwa, to identify traits of Yoruba cultural ecology in the past and bring into limelight what has become of nature and the environment today. So it's an incantatory piece of music in which indigenous knowledge of Yoruba about nature is evoked for success. Ecomusicology and, like I said earlier, ecomusicology and cultural ecology, intersect in this study. And Iron Allen defines ecomusicology as a study of music, culture, and nature in all the complexity of these terms. And according to him, ecomusicology considers musical and sonic issues related to ecology and the natural environment. So ecomusicology informs this study because it explores the intersection of music and cultural ecology. It considers how musical tradition shows the influence of the surrounding environment or ecosystem and human behavior. So the study area is the Yoruba, southwestern part of Nigeria. Because of time, I'll move to the next slide. And the scope of this study, it's limited to Ebenezer Obey, specifically his song, Erenitiwa, which was released in the album The Horse, the Man, and His Son in 1973. Ebenezer Obey is a popular Juju musician and who have major influence among younger Nigerian artists across different genres today. So I'm going to play the song, and the lyrics here is also available in translation.
Bẹ́wúrẹ́ bá lọ sóde ajẹ́rìí bọ̀ wálé o. Lọ́lá Olúwa èrè ní tiwa. Lọ́lá Olúwa èrè ní tiwa. Lọ́lá Olúwa èrè ní tiwa. Bàgùtọ̀ bá lọ sóde ajẹ́rìí bọ̀ wálé o. Lọ́lá Olúwa èrè ní tiwa. Lọ́lá Olúwa èrè ní tiwa o. Lọ́lá Olúwa èrè ní tiwa.
All right, because of time, I'm going to skip. I'm going to move to the next slide. So the indigenous Yoruba society is described here, where domestic animals, number one, you could see that domestic animals could survive with or without human intervention in the traditional Yoruba society before modernization began to intervene, endangering nature and the environment. So here you see that it said, so it means domestic animals could survive. They could go out and survive on their own, and they will return back, in the indigenous Yoruba society. Secondly, we also see that most part of the sub-Saharan Africa share these characteristics. They have this lush vegetation for animals. At the time, the Yoruba incantatory poem engaged by Obi was composed. So there was enough food, water, and shelter for them in nature. So they could survive without help. Goats could go out and then come back. Also, we see the eco-friendly poetic expression used in this song, where part of the Yoruba worldview, which we were conceived when the world was simpler and human populations had not been carelessly invaded by the ecosystem. So in such a world, there was enough food for animals, goats and sheep could survive, and they were grasses, vegetation. We see them going out and coming back well-fed without any harm. So the big question posed in this study, like I said, is an ongoing study. is that amidst a society that is now prone to thoughtless deforestation, urbanization, environmental pollution, and the likes, the wisdom of the ancient Yoruba worldview become questioned. Is it still true? Is it possible for animals? What if the goat or the sheep that the ancestral elders, said that will return? Can they still return in the society that we have today, the Yoruba society that we have today? What if the sheep goes out? What if the goat goes out and return back poisoned with contaminated food and water in this present society? So in most urban society and the modern world, sheep and goats are not even permitted to even roam about to enjoy the free nature that was available to them in those times. So this call to question for the kind of environment that we have today. So the music of Ebenezer Obey exposes that gap compared to what the indigenous society used to be. So the question is it the fault of the indigenous knowledge or the fault of modernity that is reckless in approach to dealing with nature? So this becomes another challenge for the environmentally inclined musicians and ecomusicologists of our time to deal with. I'll go to the conclusion because I want to save time. Music should continually be deployed as a tool for enshrining nature-friendly or eco-friendly society and ensuring environmental sustainability. We see the music of Ebenezer Obey here that is exposing what we used to have in the indigenous Yoruba society. The animals could go freely, they could move freely, they could go back, return back home, and they will be well fed with food that were even okay for their, for their health system. And we also see in this study that reckless urbanization without consideration to saving nature and the ecosystem is a threat, not only to animal lives, but also to humanity. And finally, through Ebenezer Obey's music, Irenitiwa, we can simulate pictures of the past, as well as make judgment about the present and forecast the future of the Yoruba eco-friendly society that we truly desire. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you so much. Round of applause for him. And go to the last person very quickly, Mr. Dr. Uche Wababa. He completed a PhD at River State College, University of Education, focusing on ecomusicology and oil and gas in Niger Delta. You have the floor now, Doc. You can share your work. Sorry, please, let me just quickly say that it's supposed to present the first session, but because of the NEPA and different issues, so please, I'm sorry that I'm bringing him to this place. Please pardon me. Thank you. You have 5 minutes for your presentation. You can share. You can share your.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we are hearing you, but we can't see your. Can I share Can I share it for you so that just go ahead presenting? Let me share it for you.
I'm already sharing it.
Okay. I'm here. I'm sharing it for you already because
it's already there.
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Good evening, bros.
Okay. My name is Dr. Stephen Ucheuba, and I'm happy to be here. Thank you for the opportunity to present. The title of this work is Ogoni Culture, Traditional Music, and Environmental Dynamics. So, the Ogoni people are an indigenous group of people residing in the Niger Delta of Nigeria, and they are known for their cultural diversity, and then it's quite rich. And then one good thing about them is that they have a strong connection to their land, which reflects in their cultural practices. At the point, there was a significant challenge which came as a result of oil exploration and exploitation in that region since the discovery of oil in the 1950s. So this paper seeks to highlight their resilience and the importance of preserving their cultural heritage in the face of these ecological threats. Okay, so the framework guiding this work is ecomusicology. As we know, it has to do with the relationship between music, nature, and culture. And most of the people have discussed. I don't want to go into details of all that. But the questions that we guide this work is one, how environmental changes affected traditional music and cultural practices. How do Ogoni people use music as a form of resistance and resilience? What is the role of music in cultural sustainability? Okay, so the methodology used is qualitative research design, and then fieldwork was used, interviews and document analysis. Now, the findings, number one, there was disruption in their traditional livelihood. As you can see from the photo, you can see that the ground, this is supposed to be a farmland in Ogoni land. You see what the oil has done to it. There is something you need to know. There is something that they usually do. We call it a group farming. So in that group farming, ladies, young women gather together and they begin to farm. As they farm, they take turns and they begin to sing. When they sing these songs, the cultural consciousness is born in the younger ones. And when oil exploration happened, there was no longer farmland for all this. And then they lost all their farmlands. So this traditional practice was no longer there. And the adaptation of music reflecting environmental changes. There is something, let me just move to the next slide. Okay, so one of the things that we see is they start to use music to mobilize people. For instance, the celebrations, just to make a statement that the environment is important to us. So like Ogoni Day celebration is a very important day in Ogoni land. And they use music to mobilize the people, mobilize action, raise awareness about the environmental issues that has been troubling the land. And you can see in the next slide, there is a music. I don't know if it's going to play. Okay, it's not on this. There's a music they play on, they call it war. This music, there are 10 players. So when they gather to play, they have palm kernel, 9 pieces. So when they gather on the ground to play, they will be passing the palm kernel around until the song is exhausted, and who doesn't have will then be will be out of the game. So the song is war, 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 oi bateli yo, war, oi bateli yo, and so on and so forth. So, but today there is no ground for such music. We don't have such place for such beautiful music. When children in that place were interviewed, if they know war, none of them. 1 minute
more, please.
Sir?
1 minute.
Okay, sir. So they could not say anything. So this work, in conclusion, I will want to make these following recommendations. That's for environmental protection, implement, they have to be implementation of stringent measures to prevent oil spills and pollution in the area. And then there should be supportive initiatives to document and preserve these traditional songs that are going into extinction. And for community empowerment, community participation in environmental decision making, they have to ensure that the voices of the people are heard and respected. And thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. Yeah, let me unshare. Thank you very much. I'm deeply sorry, organizers, for Dr. Uche supposed to present in the first panel. This is the second panel, and he had issues with electricity. In fact, he has to move to 3 locations before he could get, this opportunity. So we are deeply sorry for bringing him to this panel. So we have a few minutes for questions, contributions, and we are open for contributions from both virtual and present. Please, if you have questions, you can raise up your hands. So I can see Dr. Bernard. Dr. Bernard, who else? Okay, Dr. Bernard, please go ahead. We are not hearing you.
Thank you. I'm just speaking now.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much. And I wanted to speak to Benga's presentation. I hope you can hear me. Benga is there, or then I don't have to say anything.
Yeah, yes, he's there.
Okay. Yeah, so
I can hear you. Yeah, although I'm kind of noisy place, but I can hear you.
Okay, so well, that was a very interesting presentation, and I make this comment because it's very, very close to what I've been doing. And so I wanted to maybe comment and maybe correct a notion, which I have also fallen into that error many times when I started out with this on this project, that we assume that there has never been a time in the Yoruba culture or in any culture where before even this time modernization, before this industrialization, where the environment was never degraded. We assume that there was a time in one perfect past where humans lived in harmony with nature. And I have SFA Osameji that talks about when Obadalorun came to Obadalaye for an unseen expedition, where the two of them went and set fire into the forest. They burnt a whole, plots of land, because in Yoruba, agriculture and hunting, when people want to go hunting, they set fire into the forest so that the animals can be trapped. So even the act of setting fire into the forest, bush burning, right? That was, and this is the next effort, and this is talking about Obadalaya and Obadalorun, which is a deity that resides in Orun, and a deity that resides, and the king of Aye at the time very fast, where they set fire into the forest, and when they had done this, they only saw one mirror.
Doctor.
So I'm saying that I would want to say that there was never a time that humans or non-humans or more than humans lived in complete harmony without any destruction. What we are just trying to do is bring out sources and materials from our culture that points to the fact that it is possible that we can manage these earthly resources. I'm just trying to put that out to you from what I have learned. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. There's a question here for Uche and Mr. Uche, are you there? There's a question online that says, what is the relevance of Kensaruwiwa in contemporary environmental music in Ogoniland? What is the relevance of Kensaruwiwa? Dr. Uche Nwababa,
yes, sir.
Can you, in 30 seconds, because we have just 2 minutes before the session ends.
Okay, sir.
Just 30 seconds.
All right, sir. Kensaruwiwa is pivotal in the move for the emancipation of the Ogoni people. In fact, there is no way you will discuss this whole environmental degradation without him being mentioned.
Thank you very much.
He is pivotal.
That's okay. That's okay because of the time. Do we have any questions, please? Any other question or? contribution? All right. I want to say, please let's clap for all the presenters. I want you to clap for all the presenters. This is really fascinating and wonderful. I'm also learning new things. Thank you for coming. And the last panel is coming up on Saturday, and we send it on different social media platforms. And thanks you, Dr. Akin, Dr. Pena, Dr. Benga, Dr. Godwin, Dr. Uche, Dr. Leke, and myself. Thank you, and thank you. Continue to enjoy. Go and take your dinner for the LSE. And please send my own to me. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, my brother.
Bye.
God bless.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Bye.
you, bye. And thanks, IT. We recognize you, IT people. Thank you for the good job you are doing. You are well recognized. And thanks for the effort.
Thank you for the good job.
Dr. Titus, thank you.
I beg you back. How you doing? I don't know you are there.
Yeah, I've been here listening.
I'm happy to see you, Mr. Akintunde.
Well done, sir.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Bye.
Yeah.
Bye-bye. Eat very well, though. Malga?
Yes, sir.
Your paper is fantastic. Your paper is
Thank you, sir. Sir?